Welcome to Dr. Mel's Message. I'm Dr. Mel, and today I have an exciting interview, especially during the time of pandemic that we've been experiencing. There's been a lot increase of alcohol, not only just purchasing alcohol, but alcohol abuse in general. And it's been very, very difficult for some people to maintain their sobriety. Today's guest is Dr. Emanuel Nzuzu. He has written the book, How to Stay Sober. He is a licensed practitioner in this field and he works in this field. I cannot wait to pick his brain so he can help all of us cope during this time. Welcome, Emmanuel. How are you?
I am fine. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, let me tell you, this is a much needed topic that you have with your book. And I want to first let everyone, for you to tell people basically, why did you write How to Stay Sober?
I wrote How to Stay Sober because I'd seen a lot of people coming into treatment programs, but after a few days or a few months, they relapse. Others would be attending AA, but they wouldn't be able to stay sober. So it was with the desire to help people who want to be sober but cannot stay sober. They have tried their best, but it seems like what their best is not working. So that's what motivated me to write the book.
All right. So when somebody is dealing with sobriety, wanting number one, wanting to become sober, but there's triggers, there is pressures in the world, they're not earning an income, they have troubles maybe in their marriage, with their kids, just life in general, and they turn to the bottle, if I'm correct, and feel free to correct me, but they turn to the bottle as a form of escapism. Is that right?
Yes, they do as a form of coping with the challenges of life. Um, that's the easy way out. But what we know is that human beings do anything for a reason. Even drinking, people drink because they have a reason to drink. So if you are going to be sober, you must also find a reason to stay sober. And that reason must be emotionally compelling. It cannot just be, I want to stay sober because I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's not emotionally compelling. Some people say, I'm doing it for my family. But we know that when people drink, the family was there. It didn't motivate them not to drink. So anyone will do a reason for themselves. So each person who wants to stay sober must find that compelling reason. Some compelling reason must be maybe reconnecting with loved ones, regaining lost respect, regaining dignity, stopping the self-abuse and the humiliation. Now, those are some of the compelling reasons. Doing it for the job or to save the marriage, sometimes it doesn't compel somebody to do it because there's no personal buy-in.
All right. So this particular book is not only a book and it's available in ebook, paperback, and also hardback, but you also have the companion workbook. How do those two work in tandem?
When you read the book, it will tell you some practical things that you must do. Like, for example, we're talking about a reason, you know. So in the workbook, you are going to write your own reason. There are exercises which help you to come up with your own compelling reason to stay sober. In the rest of the book, there are exercises on how to be rigorously honest. So you read the book and then you go to the workbook. It will teach you how to become rigorously honest, to help you to develop in those areas. So it's a way to apply what people read in the book.
Right now, I want to show everybody the flipbook trailer to it so they can take a sneak peek into what the book looks like. For anyone that's really searching for answers for sobriety, can they do it alone?
With the right information, yes, because a lot of recovery work is an inside job. Many people go to meetings, but they fail to change their thinking. They fail to change their believing. So meetings are good, but if you don't change your thinking, if you don't change your believing, you will just continue to use. So people can do it with the right information, with the right direction on how to identify um, addictive thinking and identify thinking that would help one to stay sober. For example, many people in alcohol, who do drugs and alcohol and drugs, there is a lot of self-deception. They say, I can have one and stop. That's self-deception.
That's lying to yourself, basically.
Lying to yourself. But when you are doing it, you are not aware of it. So the book will teach you to identify, those thinking thought patterns that keep you using and help you to find thinking patterns that help you to stay sober. Another example would be people who drink tend to be selfish and self-centered. When they are doing it, they are not aware. But when they learn that when they were drinking, they were pushing away loved ones, that's selfish behavior. So that's what the book talks about and helps them, guide them to become from selfish to selfless, from being dishonest to being honest, from being intolerant to being tolerant. So that's what the book talks about. That's what the books help to guide them. That is, when the thinking changes, you get back your power to stay sober.
Have you written anything, or is it in the book, on people like loved ones like myself that wants to help maybe an alcoholic, spouse, or an alcoholic sister, or anybody? Do you have that available? Will this book help that, or is this basically just for the person that is dealing with themselves and alcohol?
This book has many personal experiences of how the alcoholic was treating the loved ones. So in a way, I'm talking about the loved ones, but from the perspective of the alcoholic, the lying, the anger, the self-centeredness, from the perspective of the you know, of the of the alcoholic, because the others were innocent victims, and if the alcoholic changes, everything in the family should change. If the alcoholic changes, everything in the family changes.
Oh, I would actually have to agree with that. A lot of people by now, I don't know, but I wrote the foreword for your book and I volunteered to do that. It was one of those things that when I was going through your book as not only, your publisher, I felt compelled because I found myself in there in a lot of ways in my earlier years. And I would say
Uh-huh,
back in the mid 1995 area, my
uh-huh,
father was an alcoholic, so I was raised by an alcoholic. I saw the devastation of living with an alcoholic. from
Right.
my father's point of view. And you would think
Yes.
that I wouldn't have become one, but I
Yeah.
did. I didn't drink at work, but the minute I came home, I started hitting the vodka pretty heavy, a bottle a day.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really resonated with me when you said I had to have a change, no matter how much my kids or my husband wanted me to stop drinking. Until
Right.
I made that commitment in myself that
Yeah.
I wanted to be a better person. That's when I
Exactly.
stopped.
Yeah. And sometimes when one is an addict, it's difficult to see beyond the selfishness. It's difficult to see beyond the self-deception. It's difficult to see the pushing away of loved ones. So a major part of what the book is about is for each reader to go inside and see what they were doing and blaming other people instead of taking responsibility for their actions and for the things that were going wrong.
So when somebody would say, "Oh, but this happened today, so now I had to have a drink," or "So and so pushed me to the limit and got on my last nerve, so I had to have a drink," those are all those lies and excuses of selfishness. If I'm hearing you correct,
That's correct. That's
that is
correct.
okay.
Yeah. Some people say, um, I am drinking because of my job. They change one job to another, but the drinking doesn't go away.
They were
Some
the
people,
common denominator, not the job.
yeah, some people say my marriage sucks, so they divorce. But the addiction doesn't go away. So the book helps people to see what the problem was and deal with the problem at its root. The blame game doesn't work anymore. People have to take responsibility for their thinking and what they believe. Um, people, I characterize people who drink and do drugs as falling in the same ditch every day with your eyes open. But when you are doing it, you don't see it that way. You call it nice time or happy Friday. but you are falling in the same ditch day after day, and it looks like uh, having a nice time. So it's opening people to that those experiences were compounding the problem because whatever relief was there was always short-lived. You ended up with more problems.
Well, that's I would say perfect explanation of what you're saying. Now, it doesn't it have to go beyond just making a commitment for yourself to no longer be that self-centered person. I'm going to take that bottle and that leap of faith. Is there something else, uh, like coping skills? What can they do instead? Where should
That
you
that
go?
that the foundation is the change in thinking. That's the building your house on a strong foundation. Then then it becomes a lifestyle because alcoholism is a lifestyle. Drug addiction is a lifestyle. Sobriety should become a lifestyle. One of the things which is key to change is that the people who fail, it's not because they have not tried, they have tried. But in most cases, they are doing it on their own, depending on their five senses. Now, the problem is powerless, and your five senses cannot help you to overcome powerlessness. You need a higher power to help you. Now, some people have struggle with the idea of a higher power, but I say that you should not struggle with higher power because you are using alcohol as your higher power. When you're angry, you go to alcohol. When you are bored, you go to alcohol. When you are not happy, you go to alcohol because you can't deal with unhappiness on your own. So people were already using alcohol as a higher power. They were using cocaine as a higher power. They were using all those different substances as a higher power. Now you want a higher power which delivers lasting results, not temporary results. So that's another dimension of recovery,
Wow.
which, because most of those, they talk about higher power, they talk about God, but when you look at what they are doing self.
That
They're
makes so much
doing
sense
self.
to me. Um, they're replacing one thing for a true thing in their life, but not realizing that the truth is really inside themselves. And they're going to have to just say, I need to change my thinking and way of doing things to live in this successful life.
Exactly. Especially the self-deception.
Yeah.
Because most people who drink and do drugs continue to believe that they are still in control, but there's no more control there. So when things are all falling apart, your relatives don't want to hang out with you anymore, and you are always broke even when you get paid. People still believe I am in control. This is my life. This is my money. That's a self-deception thinking.
Now, what about the person that basically all their adult life, okay, they've been very successful in their life. And when they come home, they're still very, very functional. But right before dinner or whatever, they decide, I want my cocktail, I want to relax, and I've done this. And all of a sudden, they realize they're becoming an alcoholic or they are an alcoholic. Their mindset, they've done this all their life and they've been very successful, work life,
Right.
family life. How are they going to make that commitment to stop?
The commitment is, as human beings, when we do something, we feel satisfied about it. We feel proud about it. So this functional, so-called functional alcoholic, when they drink, do they feel satisfied? Do they feel proud that, oh, last night I drank 2 jars of whiskey? Now that's where, you begin to shake their thinking. If they don't feel proud, if they don't feel satisfied, then you want to steer them in a way where they begin to do things that they are going to be proud of, to do things that they are, excited to share with other people, with friends and family. But in most cases, when they drink like that, they feel awful, they feel bad, guilty, shame. They don't like themselves anymore. So at the end of the day is to make them understand that you are doing things that are not making you happy. If you want to be happy, try sobriety.
All right. Now, what about the social drinkers?
The social drinkers,
They won't drink at home. They don't drink whatever at dinner, but then they go out to a party and then they get plastered.
actually, there are two types of drinkers.
Okay.
There's the normal drinker and the abnormal drinker.
All right.
A true social drinker will drink one or two and stop.
Ah.
That's a true social drinker. That's your normal drinker.
Okay.
But the abnormal drinker will take one drink. Before you know, they want a second one. Before you know, they want a third one, and so on. So even if you stagger between the frequency, but every time you end up drinking more than you planned, you are no longer a social drinker. The social drinker is able to stop because when they take one drink or two, they begin to feel out of control. Some people feel dizzy. Some people feel nausea, and they begin to say, why waste all my money on something which makes me sick? Unfortunately, the abnormal drinker is not able chemically in the body to digest the alcohol. So once they take the first drink, because of inability to digest the alcohol, they develop a craving for more. It's a bodily issue. It's no longer in the mind. The body is now telling you, I want some more. I want some more. Even if you had said, I will go in and stop after a few. I will go in and go to my child's school event. But after one or two, you want some more, you want some more because of the craving. Now, it's called craving, which is allergic reaction to alcohol. Now, telling people that you are allergic to alcohol sounds counterintuitive because I'm drinking like anyone else. I drink one after the other. That's normal. But you see, alcohol has no nutritional value. And in fact, it's toxic. So anything toxic, the body must reject. But if the body accepts something toxic, that's an allergic reaction. So the normal drinker is able to reject the alcohol because it's toxic. It makes him sick, it makes him nauseous, it makes him dizzy. That's how it should be. But the abnormal drinker, the body will want more and want more. That's the allergic reaction. And most alcoholics don't know that they have an allergy because people, when they think of allergy, they think of maybe uh, pimples all over the face,
Right.
bruises or cuts on the skin and things like that. But that's one of the major issues about alcoholism, and many people may not be aware of that.
There's a lot of issues to alcoholism, I am finding out. And there's so many people that are suffering from it right now. And if you could give anybody one word of advice, besides, because we already know you have to make the commitment and the thinking, but if they truly, truly want to quit, not only will this book and workbook help them, but should they attend like AAs or support groups or detox or whatever?
Yeah, all those are very important. But as you attend any of those things, you can go to church, you can go anywhere, is to understand that the problem is powerlessness. You have lost the ability to be able to control your drinking. When you drink more than you planned, it's because you're powerless. And so that's the problem. Now, the solution to powerlessness is power. So you can go to AA meeting, but come back without power. You can go to church, but come back without power. So, and that's what has been happening for many people. They attend meetings, they go to church, they go everywhere. They talk to their sponsor, but they don't have power because they don't understand the problem. So understanding the problem is key. Actually, misunderstanding of the problem is a national issue. You know why there was prohibition?
No.
Prohibition was intended to be treatment for alcoholism. They said alcoholism is a big problem. What are we going to do? Prohibit alcohol, because they didn't understand that the problem is powerlessness. So prohibition didn't work because it didn't take away powerlessness. People continue to drink and suffer the problem. So after some time, prohibition was scraped off the books, and alcohol was allowed to come into shops and be manufactured. But of course, there was the tax issue. But the tax issue was secondary to trying to solve the problem of alcoholism. So laws which do not give people power to stay sober will not work. That's why you find even if a person has been locked up 90 days, a year, 2 years, as soon as they leave the prison, they go back to drinking
Right. Because they didn't
because
take it within themselves. They didn't make
the,
that
the,
thinking change.
the powerlessness
Right.
continued. So prison time does not give you power.
It's wow. It almost seems like it'd complicate the situation instead of really doing treatment for them and help them deal within
Right,
themselves.
right. So this book is about how to get power to stay sober, how to get the power to stay sober, because a person who has alcohol problem is powerless over alcohol. Now, that's another area of another deception, because people who drink and do drugs, they still think they have power, and yet everything else shows that the carpet has been taken away long time ago. You know,
Well, you're just an incredibly skilled at what you do, and the information in your book, How to Stay Sober, is very, very powerful. And if anyone that watches this is dealing, number one, with yourself as an alcoholic, and you really want to make that change for yourself, and or you know somebody that's dealing with it, get this book. Get this book for them. If you are in a church, get 10 of these books and take them to your pastor, whoever, because I know he'll be talking to some people and he can hand them to it. That'd be a special gift and donation to your churches. If you attend AA, if you're an AA sponsor, get 10, 20 of these books and take them to the meeting. This book is, as you said, powerful, but in a powerful way for someone to gain control and gain power over their alcoholism so they can maintain sobriety.
that's
Emmanuel, it has been such a pleasure talking to you. We could probably do a 18-hour podcast on dealing with alcoholism with the wealth of knowledge that you have. And I really just appreciate, number one, that you wrote the book and just share your knowledge so it can reach out to help other people.
Thank you very much. I'm sure it will help make a difference in individuals and families,
That would be the whole goal of this book, making a difference uh,
and bring hope and healing.
and open healing. But thank you again, and
Thank you
stay
so much.
tuned because I'm going to also show you another video of how to stay sober. Good
Okay.
night.